No, I could have you both fight each other and see how that works. Because you're both
I can't see
low
right
level.
now.
You can't?
At least now. Maybe in Sunday.
Okay, that's fine. As usually, I like taking players sub gold skill and have them fight each other, and then you both learn at the same time, more or less.
Mm-hmm. I've got one more question, but this question isn't dedicated to the replay that you showed us. I found a build order on SC2 build orders for ZVT through lurkers. It had a very fast Roach Warren, a very fast second hatchery, but it disappeared from the site. So I would like to ask somebody to reconstruct this. I've got several replays, and I reconstructed by my memory some first builds. So I brought this question to the other server, and they. I don't know. Are they considering this? I don't know if they look through the replay, and I don't know.
So a lot of times, if you see Roach from a Zerg player versus a Terran, and like I said earlier, it's mainly to deal with mech as the opener that the Terran opponent decides to play. Because Roaches are really good at killing Hellions and Hellbats. They're not too shabby with dealing with tanks. They also have, if I would have gotten that game, I could have used them for harassment with the burrow move. A lot of times you'll see a Ling Bling opener and they'll get a Roach Warren. And so normally you wouldn't get Roaches, but they're normally a deterrent for the Hellion play early game. And you only use about 4 Roaches, 4 to 5, and then you stop building Roaches altogether. It helps sometimes in the lower leagues when you have difficulty dealing with the incoming Hellions. But you should still be able to deal with them with Queens and Zergling Baneling in the same way. If that makes any sense. Because I've seen that a few times where Zerg will go like four Roaches simply to deter the Terran's Hellion play. Other than that, they're not really utilized much after. It's kind of like a temporary stop measure. So it's something you could do, in which case you would get that about 3 minutes into the game. I would think somewhere around 3 minutes, because if you go Roach, the same thing if you go Hydra instead, they're a gas-heavy unit. You're going to need another gas. So Zerg can do like gasless openings. It's fairly common, where you'll just have your hatchery, your natural, your third base, and there will be no gas geysers capped except for the first 100 gas that you collect for metabolic boost. And then you could just pool up a large portion of minerals, which will help with droning and with Zergling production. But it will not help you if he gets like a lot of Hellions quickly and you don't have any Banelings to stop it. You can supplement that with Queen instead. But if he comes at you with a lot of Marines, that's not going to help you against, a lot of Zerglings and Queens aren't really going to stop a lot of Marines. So you could do it, but you really got to pay attention to what the opponent is doing. Because if they're, if they open standard and they're not being aggressive, you can get away with getting other hatcheries without them really punishing you for it. But as a Zerg player, if the opponent's on 2 base, I need to be on 3. If they're on 4, I need to be on 5, etc. So you always want one more base than the opponent has. It's a nice safety net. Because Zerg stuff is squishy. It dies very quickly. So it's kind of... Roach is okay in the matchup, but like I said, I only use it specifically for mech. I don't really use it past mech. Baneling Roach is something you could do as well, but like I said, it's gas heavy. Ling Bling Hydra is something you could do. That's also gas heavy. Hydras and Roaches aren't cheap. The same thing if you go to Muta. It takes literally the same concept of going any of these 3 units. They're going to be gas heavy. So if I go like 2 base Muta, I'm getting the hatchery, I'm getting the spawning pool, I'm going to get a Baneling's Nest, and I'll get the natural base, I'll get lair, I'll wait for the scout to go away, and I'll grab all my gases. And I'll pop down the spire the second the lair is finished, and I'll make all the mutas I can, and then I'll go. You can do the same thing with Roaches, you can do the same thing with Hydralisk. But it's more of an all-in, as they call it, because you're on a 2-base economy. The point of an all-in, or the point of any cheese, is to do as much damage to the opponent as possible to make up for teching too quickly, as it were. If you play standard, let's say I'm fighting a Terran or a Zerg player in this case, so Zergling, Baneling into either Roach or into Mutalisk, depending on the matchup. So Roach if Zerg, if Terran, Muta, if Protoss, Roach. If I build a bunch of units quickly, like I do like a Roach Ravager all in, or I do 2 base Muta, or if I do a quick Hydra all in, if I fail that, I die.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't do any damage, I die, or I'm not going to be able to recover unless the enemy screws up horribly. Because he'll have a better economy than me, he'll have better production than me. If the attack outright fails, I might make him afraid of me, which might play on his mental, but it may or may not keep him at bay for very long, and the next time he attacks, I will most likely lose that in battle and engagement. But as long as I get damage out of it, then it pays for itself. If I can get workers killed, if I can pop a production structure, if I can disrupt his builder, then that works. But like I said on that website that I linked, the spawning tool, anything that says ZVX is what you're looking for, or Zerg versus anything. And specifically, it's focused on economy, or safer bets to do than doing all-ins or timing attacks, because timing attacks, as the name implies, only work at a certain time, because they're betting on the opponent to be at a certain state of his build order or a certain state of their play, where that will take full advantage of the weakness that's provided by that play style. So unless you go exactly at like a Roach Hydra timing attack, if you don't attack exactly after your army is done, it doesn't work. You have to hit by like 5 minutes, or it doesn't work at all. So that's the other problem with the timing attacks. If you don't hit exactly at when you need to hit, it does not work, because it's taking advantage of a window, a very small window. So steer clear of timing attacks. you can cheese what we like to call like the rush strategies. So you could do 12 pool, where you build a spawning pool at 12. 14 pool, 16 pool, 18 pool. There's a lot of builds revolved around quick zerglings with speed. And the point of them is to run into the enemy base and do as much havoc as possible. However, as stated, like with the timing attacks, if you do that and it fails or you overcommit, you're basically dead. If you rush Muta and the enemy rushes you with a bunch of Marines or a bunch of Zerglings, you're basically dead. You have no economy behind it. It's just, that's why they're all ins and timing attacks and stuff. They're very much oriented around getting the job done quickly. But I like to have y'all do as close to standard play as you can, which is basically just hatcheries, spawning pool, hatchery, whatever your tech choice based off the matchup. So Banelines versus Terran and Zerg, Roaches versus Protoss. And that's just kind of about it. If you stick with that, you'll be safe. You won't necessarily take any drastic losses. But I like to see the losses because it tells me more about your play styles and how you react to certain things, and then I'll refine it from there. But that comes with playing games. If you're uncomfortable with playing ranked, play unranked. As long as you're fighting human opponents, the AIs are kind of stupid. Like, for example, the Zerg AI will build every structure under the sun, even though it doesn't need those units in that matchup. So what you need to get to is being able to expand at least to a third base and being able to get a somewhat reasonable composition versus the opponent that you're playing and what they're doing based off scouting information or your build order. But I tell people not to really heavily focus on builders because they're only going to help you to a certain extent. Because it will not work if the opponent recognizes the build order and then counters it. So they're good up to about 5 minutes. After that, it's really up in the air. It depends on what the opponent does. You know, you might think you'll play against a standard Terran, he ends up going like Sky Terran or something, which is excruciatingly rare, or Battlecruiser Rush or something. So it won't work. But it's also having that ability to scout and see what's going on. But the most part, it's like I try to give you guys homework or play games. Give me something to look at. And then once you have something I can look at, I can go and say, all right, let's see if we can't fix the build. And a few games lets me know, and I did the same thing with Hayu here in the Discord. He couldn't play at all. He's coming from Warcraft 3. He couldn't play at all. He could barely make workers. He could barely make Zerglings. He couldn't place his structures correctly. And I gradually fixed that, figured out what the problem was. He had a macro problem. He couldn't figure out how most efficiently to build his spaces, for example, what structures he needed. And I specifically focused on that. So I made him play a map with no AI and had him take every expansion on the map. You know, build all the workers, move units around, build all the workers, inject constantly, spread the creep, get new tech, kill your workers, or kill your soldiers, right? And in order for them to remax and rebuild and scout and move around. And that's something that can be practiced as well. There's arcade games that focus on macro or micro, either or. There's micro tournaments that are in the arcade as well as a tool that you can use to get your micro up. Or if you're slipping on macro, there's macro trainers as well in the arcade. But that comes with more games played. So as long as you guys are playing games, either unranked or if you're fighting AI, I'd recommend that you fight medium AI. If you're comfortable with medium, try very hard and put them on an economic build. Because the very hard and higher AIs have build orders that they will try to stick to. Try is the key word. They will usually try to counter you if you try to counter their build. And they do kind of cheat a little bit at the higher difficulties. They have like vision of where you are and get extra money and etc. So I don't recommend that is like the tried and true method. The best method is to fight a human opponent. And there's plenty of people here in the Discord that aren't very high level that I can have you guys spar against. And I don't take anyone's loss as, oh, you lost, you suck. That's not what I do. If you lose, there's a reason why you lost, and there's a way to fix it. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to be the go-to master of awesomeness. Even me, I fail horribly sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So every loss that I have to go, why did I lose? Why did I lose against this person? What did they do different that I haven't seen prior? And then I try to fix it. Like Tonic kicks my butt all the time. And I'm a higher level player than he is. And he's really good at what he does. or Tanzi, I should say, is his name. I don't know why I said Tonic. But Tanzi kicks my ass upside down, left, right, and center because he's a really good Protoss player. He's probably higher skill level than me in that regard, just for Protoss, but his other races suck. But that's a lot of practice on his part. He's got it down pat, you know. But it's just getting used to how your race functions and then adapting to what your opponent's doing. And the more games you guys play, the more that I can see, the more I can refine you and get you to where you're at a higher level. As an example, Mr. Hayu there, he was less than bronze in his skill level. If there was a copper league, he would be in it. And he's now gold. And it only took him 3 days.
Okay.
So huge improvements over a small time. I can fix the little problems to where they're not problems anymore and they're afterthoughts. So it just depends on how you guys progress. And I'm available all the time, so just grab me. I mean, I sleep not very well, so I'm almost on all the time. I just want to see some games played, some replays, and then once I figure out how you guys are more or less fighting against human opponents or even AI to an extent, then I can start refining it. And that's what I'm really looking forward to, is seeing how you guys progress. So other than that, I got, the standard homework is either play like up to 10 games of unranked or play 10 games versus a medium AI opponent. If the AI is too easy, up the difficulty. If you're killing them too quickly, then up it. Make it more difficult. But other than that, that's all I got for the moment. Unless you guys want to spar against each other, or I can probably grab some people later today to do a peep mode, which is kind of like a 1v1/observer match where the computer picks 2 people at random that want to play. And they play a 1v1 match on a really old map. But you get to see people fight each other, and you can take notes or see how the matchups goes, or even identify other players' play styles. It's always a fun time, but I think Mike, the owner of the Discord here, will be setting up these for like tournaments and stuff that you can join. I do think he's planning to do cash prizes for it as well. He wants to do lower league ones, so like bronze to gold, or he hasn't quite told me what he's doing with that, but There's some fun community nights as well. Any questions about anything?
Could I send you one replay of mine?
Oh, sure. I'll just make you party leader pull up.